Hello, everyone, and good day. This is Joe Pascal with Facility Grid. We'll be starting the webinar momentarily. Just waiting for attendees to join. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Joe Pascal with Facility Grid. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer and appreciate your attendance today. We'll be focusing on scaling quality assurance program and helping you achieve operational readiness. So let's jump right in. What is operational readiness? What does it mean to be ready to operate? Well, in today's environment, projects have become more complex. There's more equipment, building systems, and assets to track. And the traditional focus on exclusively MEP has expanded to numerous types of systems and assets, whether they are for access or they're for lighting or they're controls. There's numerous building systems and equipment to work through to get ready to operate. So operational readiness is assuring that the system and the equipment are ready to meet the owner project requirements for day one operations. My checks have been completed. I've got through the installation. My acceptance testing is done. And the next key step in operational readiness is the team, right? I need to make sure that the facilities team are ready to operate. They've completed training. They've watched videos. They have access to the documentation, and they'll be ready for day one operations. And the third component of operational readiness is asset data and documentation. And for each type of equipment, the asset data is unique. Also, the documentation can be significant depending on the complexity of the job. And at the end of my project, I need an easy way to be able to transfer that over to my CMS system or whatever facility management system my owner is using to get to my final acceptance and end goal. So assets have numerous relationships, and whether it's data and documentation, there's a lot of items to capture, and assets are unique in that there's activities to monitor. An asset may go through, when you think about from when the asset arrives off-site, through initial inspections, all the way to preparation for installation and startup. Then you have all the testing and inspections that happen to confirm that the equipment is functioning properly and mechanically complete. And then I move into my acceptance phase. There's issues that are going to happen along the way. I need to be able to track those issues and identify the issues, what asset they're related to or system. Those issues could be impacting schedules or milestones. And so there's quite a bit to track and monitor in our projects today. And all of these have important relationships. So our quality assurance programs are being driven by this need to get items right the first time, or to be able to complete checks early on in the construction project, to identify problems when they're manageable, when they may not have an impact on delays. There's nothing worse than uncovering issues during acceptance testing that should have been identified through a check in an early stage. So first time right in quality assurance programs are being driven by owners. They're being driven by insurance premiums. They're being driven by just competitively pricing. And the better I can manage the first time right in my quality assurance program, the more successful I'll be. And rework is a real impact, and it may not affect me directly as a GC. The rework, maybe that goes to my trade partner, but a lot of this is just the challenge of communication. A lot of rework or delays can be tied to communication. Ultimately, whoever's paying for the rework, everyone is impacted, because ultimately problems that are discovered late can really delay a project and create a lot of risk, not only to that project, but future business. So we're all building these quality assurance programs and trying to harvest and get our teams to identify issues for lessons learned. And when I start doing that in the traditional process, it becomes quite overwhelming, right? And I talk to many MEP supervisors or many heads of quality. I talk to project executives. And when it comes to these building assets and systems, which in some projects now can equate to anywhere from 30 to 40% of the total construction value of a project, they are, and many are still managing this process in spreadsheets. They work in a distributed environment. I mean, they may start their day spending the first hour collecting the checklist or getting all the hard copy ready, or they're updating a binder. A lot of what's happening is still manual in the field, and the problem is I spend my day doing my inspections on site, and I'm collecting the checks and doing my site observations, and then I've got to come to the office at the end of the day and maybe spend an hour or two creating reports and documenting. I could pick up multiple photos, 20 to 30 photos during that walk during the day. There's a lot to remember when I'm on either one project or multiple projects. So the duplication of effort is a real quantifiable and measurable issue that we can solve for. Also, just delays in reporting. I'll talk to some clients and say, we used to have meetings once a week or every 3 days. In those meetings, that's when the issues would be discussed. But with that delay, the 2 or 3 or even 4-day delay of understanding there's problems can delay, when parts or equipment needs to be ordered. It could impact maybe the next trade partner that's supposed to come in my look-ahead schedule. So the manual process opens me up for just the delay of issues and response time to keep my project moving and on track to hit those milestones. Risking losing data when I'm working in an environment where everything's being stored on my laptop or in hard copy, or even just for weather-related items where I lose things. Or a team member sort of decides to move on to another company and I lose data. It's really a lot of exposure in that traditional process. And ultimately, this impacts the time that's available for the team to be doing what they're really good at. and what their highest value is. And that's being part of the job, on the job site, in front of the assets and the equipment, working with the trades, inspecting and making sure that things are moving to plan. And in a distributed system, the collaboration is definitely challenging. Ultimately, on these mission critical projects, which there's a lot of them, and by the way, every project is mission critical for an owner, it does increase the risk of exposure to unforeseen rework or delays and issues because of the traditional approach of managing. So there's a real need, and Facility Grid has recognized this and is working with our clients to solve this problem. So let's talk about what a quality assurance program looks like. Everybody are at different stages of building their quality assurance programs. And different projects require different type of tracking of progress, right? And so here's just an example of what, many today would be managing or tracking in spreadsheets. You've got different phases of a project. You want to confirm whether the equipment or assets have been delivered, have they been checked, and make sure they're not damaged. Maybe there's some preventative maintenance that you have to, because everybody's ordering things well ahead. I need to track that. Is the equipment ready to be brought on site? Is everything been set up and configured and installed to plan? I bring the equipment on site. Now I need to get it ready for startup, right? And there's numerous checks along the way. All of these activities are connected to different types of equipment, different assets. They may have documentation or checklists that's required at different stages. And the communication when this is managed in spreadsheets, or really there's many construction management software, but few really have support for building assets. This can be quite a task. So how do we take this process and help our clients standardize it and scale it? To make it easy to automate the tracking and flow of information between the team members as some are completing tasks and others need to report it. But the key is we don't want to change our clients' process. We want to be able to replicate it and make sure it's easy for them to continue to operate just with a tool that's really built to help them scale it. So with Facility Grid, what I'll show you today is how easy it is to remove the spreadsheet tracking, really when you think about building assets and systems all the way through. And also another key is mobilizing the team. So the quality controls can be done in the field, issues can be documented one time, data can be collected, remove a lot of redundancy so I can get more capacity out of my team to focus on inspections and higher value activities. And also, if the commissioning authority is open to it, maybe even provide them some tools that they can track what's going on, so I can get through that phase as well. Okay, well, it begins with the field. I need to make sure it's easy for the field to engage. And with Facility Grid, I'm looking at our mobile app here. We work on every platform. So Apple iOS, Windows platforms, and also Android. We have native applications built for this solution. And we work on the phone and tablet. It looks exactly the same. And these native apps work on and offline. So, these applications are permissionable for the type of user that needs to access it. So, for example, if I have a electrical trade partner that's supposed to log in and give me a progress on a panel to say it's complete and it's ready for inspection, and when they log in, they're only going to see their checklist or their couple items that they're responsible for updating. In this example here, when the equipment or the systems are loaded, we create a unique QR code for either the systems or the individual piece of equipment. That can be printed onto a sticker, or we have clients that have embedded these into a template. So if you have a tagging system by color, we can embed our QR codes into your template, or we have clients that print these on different types of substrate. So if someone wants to walk up to the equipment and type in the equipment name, that's fine. Or if they'd like to scan a QR code, the key is to get them to the asset quickly. And here I'm looking at air handler unit 4. What's great is within Facility Grid, I'm able to quickly identify the status of that asset. Where is it at? This one's in equipment startup and it's in progress. Now that progress may have been updated manually if it was just a task that required a manual update, you know, I'll show you that today. Or this could be tied to a checklist, so when the participant opened up and started answering questions, we knew it was in progress, and that's the status of the equipment, that state. But I want to make it easy for the team within one click to get to the checklist they need, or within one click to be able to open and either document an issue or respond to an issue. One click to a document as well that they have access to in the field if they need it. There's also safety information here. So as you can see towards the bottom of the screen, there's fed from and what this is feeding. So I can identify, okay, what panel or breaker is feeding this piece of equipment, and even walk through to select that asset and see what the state of it is for lock in and lock out. So by making it easy for the team to get to what they need to fill out quickly on a mobile device, making it easy for them to basically click and it's saved and then we'll upload. I should be able to increase engagement and remove excuses, right? And then I want to, sorry, as the field is completing that, I want to be able to easily monitor and track the progress of my project. Well, it does start with the asset. So here's an asset record I'm just going to start with. Here's an example of my air handler unit 4. You can see, you know, here's the name of the activities and tasks, and all this would be configurable to your process. As I look at this for the air handling unit, there's a status on that activity. Green is good, it's complete. If it's yellow or orange, it's in process. And if it's red, it's not started and it's behind schedule. So you can even put anticipated start and end dates on these activities and track everything to schedule, making it easy for the scheduler and project exec to sort of see how we're progressing to plan. There's a document icon next to that status identifying, well, does it require documents? If they've been uploaded, it turns yellow, it's ready for review. If it's been reviewed, it's green. So easily tracking the required documentation for that test and balance or that inspection that you want uploaded. Or maybe your trade partner is using a quality program. When they completed their check, you want a record of that checklist uploaded to the system for your peace of mind. And I also can see open issues. Now this goes into an overall dashboard, right? So operational readiness then is really, I'm tracking this at an asset level, but I want to bring it up into my project. And I'm looking at the closeout tracker snippet here. And this basically is remove the spreadsheet, because as the team is in the field updating, completing checklists, uploading documentation, that information flows into the asset record and also this closeout tracker, which I'll go into. But it's going to enable me to look at a system or by discipline, sort of how the project's working or individual equipment, and see exactly the status. Documents are loaded if there's any problems. And once this is set up and configured, which is a very easy process and quick, this information automatically flows and then just reports. So removing a big part of the redundancy in a lot of projects today. Key is I now have one central source of truth, right? So I want to take away the emotion, and I want to be able just to bring and just say, hey, look, this is where we are, okay? And I can see very easily in real time every day as things are progressing, how and the status of activities and documentation and checks. I want to make it easy for everyone to collaborate, right? So this is going to show the progress in one central location. It also is going to help me confirm that the QC and checks are being done and the program's being adopted. I can identify problems easier because issues are reported like instantly. I can even get a notification at the end of the day or immediately with problems that I want to be aware of. And as we get into the operational readiness of training, I could monitor and load videos, track my training. really just getting a full view and ensuring that I have a complete record of everything I need for easy handover and turnover. And because everything's then centrally managed in a structured application, the data is structured, I can export the data and deliver that to my client as well as with the documentation itself. Also within facility grade and my quality assurance, I want to scale it in aspects of reporting to how we're progressing to schedule. So on those activities I want to track and the checks as they're being done by the field, that information then, they're scanning the QR code, flows into Facility Grid. If you want, you can upload through an import the anticipated start and end dates of any activity, and then as those activities are actually started and when they're actually done, obviously we're then going to be able to display that in our timeline monitor. And this information is exportable as well or callable through an API. So in this example, I'm looking at the timeline monitor, I can see my Gantt chart, and on top of it, it's showing me the progress. Percentage complete, percentage in progress, percentage not started to plan, right? So I don't need to wait for that, 1 week scheduling meeting or be scrambling 2 days before I'm supposed to see the owner on where we are. Everybody's sort of keeping pace and has visibility. So that way, if there's anything that's not aligned to plan, I can promptly engage the team and make sure that we're going to hit our schedules. Closeout and turnover, making sure that's complete, working with my commissioning authority and Facility Grid is very easy. Again, by these dashboards, I literally can track the documentation. And I also can up my game in reporting to owners and project executives because they want transparency on what's going to complete the milestone, especially in these mission critical projects or ones that have lots of equipment. No one likes surprises. And this will automate and provide a lot of visibility to the team. And then ultimately, it is about trying to identify problems early. If I know these checks are done, then I have a higher likelihood to catch problems before they really become big ones. Now, the other thing when you think about scaling your quality assurance program also is just getting access to all of that valuable information to build analytics, right? So whether it's looking at a region and wanting to build a portfolio of projects and see how the projects across my region are doing or portfolio on key KPIs that I want to measure, like maybe an S-curve on how the critical systems are performing to plan, right? And be able to see and make sure I'm going to hit those milestones. Or analytics on lessons learned, being able to extract different types of issues, by any type of metadata. So whether it's equipment type or manufacturer, types of issues, root causes, and creating really a library of lessons learned. And we have clients that, first they overcome the challenge of, I need to at least have a centralized way I can collect the problems and identify them in a clear and concise manner. And then once I have the team doing that, the next step is really creating a library of lessons learned to use that experience and be able to collaborate on all of my projects, again, to improve my project results and also provide confidence to owners that we really are committed to quality assurance, and we have a number of steps and processes in place to ensure that we're gonna meet your expectations and deliver on time. So, I'm going to jump into a live version of the product and give you a feel of it today next. But as I set the stage, Facility Grid has got over 8,000 projects worldwide. We have a number of solutions. We have a team and are committed not only to delivering products, but also services. So for example, our Chief Customer Officer, Alex Kozinets, who has over 25 years of mechanical engineering experience, leads our implementation and support. So we're able to talk to our clients, understand their processes, and then replicate and build them in our system, as I'll show you right now. So let me, I'm gonna just stop this, and I'm gonna go to this. I'm gonna make presenter. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry, I had to move to my mobile device. It takes a step or two here, but I'm going to start by just showing you how easy it is for the field to walk up to a piece of equipment and get things rolling here. So I'm looking at my project, my demo, and obviously when I go into this, I could just search for an asset quickly. Here's some stats on the number of tasks and activities that I'm tracking. Got a good amount of checklists in this project, and only about roughly almost 300 pieces of equipment here. Got my documentation, so all my stats are up here. But really, I just want to walk up to the piece of equipment, scan my QR code, make sure that, boom, I just scanned the QR code and it brings me to air handling unit 4, and I know exactly what's going on in the state of this this piece of equipment. And so where is it? It's in startup, but it's behind schedule. Well, the good news is I'm in progress of starting this, and so I could go in and I could just highlight it's in progress. I also could just make sure that the status is being updated based on test progress. So in this case, if I connected to the checklist here, it would automatically update. But let me just get that going, and now I know that my equipment is in progress. Now with this, here's my quick click to my checklist. Let's just give you a feel how this works. So I go to my checklist and I've got a startup checklist here. I'm just going to walk through, and here's my questionnaire, and it's literally as simple as yes or no. Got a lot of no's here, so this one's having some problems, but you can see that the questions in the checklist are all permissionable. So in this example, this is sort of like a sign off for a check where I have different parts, and I need the trade partner, the GC, and the owner to go through and just confirm. And when they would log in, they would have access to fill in their sections and only address their questions. Now, the great thing about having permissions within the checklist questions are, one, it makes it easy for the end user to know what they have to fill out. Two, I can have multiple participants work on the same checklist at the same time and no one overwrites themselves. And three, well, I can actually track the progress of the checklist and tests by individual role, and I'll show you that in a minute. If there's a problem, I can easily create an issue. And so here's an example of where the issue dropped in the description of the question and the location. I could take a picture by snapping my camera. Issue type, I can identify the type of issue. So let's say this is actually a commissioning one. I'm sorry, a quality one, corrective action. And the root cause on this one was installation. Okay, so I can hard code the drop down on issue type and root causes to make it easy for a consistency of collection. And then obviously at the end of this project, I can pull in issue type by corrective action related to install, and then I could even isolate that by type of equipment. I don't know if this is going to impact the or how it's going to impact the schedule. And this one is not that bad. It shouldn't have any extra costs, but this is a high priority because of what's going on. And then I can assign this to whoever needs to take a look at it. And as soon as I click on Warren sent a notification. Also, I can notify this because I want to make sure that the general contractor knows what's going on as well. And then obviously I have everything that's related to, and there's my issue. So now that's saved, and I can continue through my checklist, and everything is good to go. If I need to address the issue, I just go up to the issue, click on the issue. Here's my list of issues for this particular piece of equipment. I've got one that was completed. Let's look at that one. Okay, so there's a little bit more detail, and here's the responses. I can look through and I can add a response quickly, but I have all the issue information and details right at my fingertips when I'm at the job site. Also documentation, I can click on documentation if I want to look at the specs or design. This would open it up right into my favorite PDF reader. If I needed to mark it up for some issues, I could also do that. We would record the markup and lay them out in an issues list if that's what they were. A couple other items I'll just show are the details with all of the equipment information. Here's what's feeding the equipment. I look in there and it's going to show me this example, the panel board and other items that are hitting that. If I look at, I could just click right through and see, okay, that one actually is ready for the CX milestone. So that one looks like it's gotten through my process and it should be good to go without any issue. So I can go back kind of through that logic tree, look step by step to see what's going on. I don't have to jump back into like drawings and figure out what's feeding the equipment. And all this information can either be manually set up in the system or can be uploaded into a spreadsheet very quickly in bulk. So it's to get that in. Now, as that information is being collected, and I'm going to stop this and I'm going to go back to my other. Okay, I'm back with you here. Now I'm in the main cloud version of Facility Grid. Okay, so I've teams working in the field, they're getting things done. I'm going to go into my demo project here, and let's walk through and show you how, as the team is working in the field, I can easily monitor the progress of my project step by step. Okay, so I've gone into my overall project here, and I'm going to look at sort of overview stats to give you a feel of, here's the issues I have outstanding, what's closed, and an issue by a project phase, all right? And all these phases are all configurable to your process. I'm tracking issues by weeks and months, how many are open by number of days, and I can sort of track open to close, so how are we trending as I'm identifying problems, are things getting done? Let's look at sort of the fundamental, something that's fundamentally unique about Facility Grid compared to other solutions. And that's our ability basically to replicate your work plan, right? So Facility Grid, I can set up a work plan. In this case, I'm looking at just setting up my tasks. And my work plan typically has phases, okay? So here's example of a work plan with different phases. I've got maybe design and pre-construction, or maybe my process starts at delivery and installation. But all of these can be customized and set. And then if I have a standard workflow, well, we can save this and then templatize it, and then every future project can lay out with your specific phases and layout, okay? Now, if I go into the individual phase, so let's go like to QC inspections. Now within my phase, here are the activities that I want to track. And these are also all customizable. So the names, the abbreviations, I can even put a weighting factor on them to identify how important they are. I can identify whether I want to track the activity to include percentage complete or tracking operational readiness, or do I want to put a duration, start and end? And this, again, these dates can be uploaded if I have to upload a bunch of dates at one time through our import tool. But what this is allowing me to do is now basically replicate my process for this project for QC inspections. I want to collect the Megger testing results, right? And I want that, and here's the items, the feeders, and confirming that the checks have been done. Or I might have circuit breaker inspections, right? And I want to make sure they're completed. Or actually for my QC inspections, here's the checklist I have. So everything is basically can set up very easily and connected into my system. And then as this is now put together each step of the way, I can monitor the progress of how we're completing. So how do we remove the spreadsheet and make it easy for me just to report and understand what's done and what's not done? Okay, well, this is done through the closeout tracker. And I'm just going to open this up. So the closeout tracker, as you can see across the top, let me move to sort of my QC inspection startup phase. So here's my QC inspection, the phases, all configurable to your process. Here under startup, you can see, maybe if you squint, there's equipment startup there, and I've got pre-functional. These are all activities that I want to track, and again, configurable. And here's my status, my document icon in the center, and open issues. So how does this work? Well, let's say I want to look at my plumbing system, for example. And here's the equipment tied to the plumbing discipline, and I want to see how we're performing. So I scroll over and I can see, okay, it's been delivered. QC inspections, they've all been done. That's great. For the air compressor, it looks like something's in progress, but I'm behind schedule. Let's open that up, and I can see by each piece of equipment connected to that what's going on. Now, I also see that for my non-portable water heater, I open that up. I've got my document loaded here. That's ready for review. I could click through and review it and inspect that. Under startup for the air compressor, though, under status, you can see, okay, it's in progress, but there's a gray box under document icon. So that means there's still documents that are required that haven't been loaded, right? And obviously then when they are loaded, they turn yellow, and once they're accepted, they would turn green. Let's go into my HVAC system as an example. In this case, there's quite a lot of equipment, so I just want to look at my systems here. And now I can sort of scroll over as I work through. And I can see, okay, I've got my pressure testing, the ground testing. Looks like the documentation has been loaded. You know, I open that up, I can see that's done. But I've got a duct leak test here, and that's not started behind schedule. I open that up, I scroll down, and sort of that's a system level test. And I can see, you know, I've got an item maybe to review in that example. If I go into my chilled water system, looks like in startup, that's started. Documents have been uploaded. Let's see, all of them. Well, 2 of them have been approved, right? I could see 2 for HCH 01 and 2. They're in and reviewed. Here are the items that aren't. It's time for me to review it. I click through, look down at the documentation, select that and review it. I could open it up and just say that's confirmed, and then it's uploaded and it's reviewed, and I save that, and it'll change back to that to green. So the closeout tracker makes it very easy for me to, again, by any type of discipline, look at systems like my emergency power generation system, and quickly understand sort of where I am, what documents have been loaded, and if I have any problems or issues, they would appear in this screen. Okay, where else do we help? Well, let's go into our checklist reporting. So in checklists, I also have a lot of details in the checklist as far as reporting goes. We'll look at a checklist here in a minute. So if I look at my checklist reporting, I can filter by, let's say in this case, I want to look at what's in progress. And in progress, I can see by checks, and I can look at really any one of these items, the number of tests, how many have passed, and how many are incomplete. Okay, and in my example, I want to now go into details, and I want to sort of look at really at for my air handling unit 4 here, which I put in here to search on. Here are the different checks I have, and I want to confirm what's done and what's not done. So I've got a total number for each test, and pass and fail, and how many are incomplete. All right, and now because those questions are assignable, I could say, well, mechanical, there's 5 tests. They still have 5 incomplete in their section. Maybe the GC has a couple questions here they have to sign off on. Or I could look at the electrical section as well. And I could see by responsible party who's done what. And this is all exportable into a big checklist stats, a large spreadsheet that'll show you every checklist and total questions, and by roles and responsibility. And as I look at the roles of the top here, right, that I'm highlighting, all of this is configurable to your team and process. I can track and confirm that the checks are being done. Assets themselves, I'll just go into kind of giving you a feel on how the asset structure looks. And when I look on the left-hand side, I've got assets, and I can organize by system, equipment type, and equipment. And this is great because when I look at my equipment types, I can make universal changes to that equipment type, and it'll apply to every piece of equipment. So this makes the setup and editing and customization for a project very easy. So in this example, I'm looking at air handling unit types. And here's the type level fields that I want to collect. All of this there's unlimited types of fields you can collect. And then there's instant level information. This could have been uploaded, or this can also be manually edited in this through the GUI. I have warranty information, again, could have been uploaded through a spreadsheet and would apply. And in this example, here are the 4 different units that I have for this piece of equipment. And then at the bottom here, I'm starting my project, I click, here are the checklists that are for this particular item. To add a checklist, I go into my library, I click on my library, I find my checklist for the item, apply it, and then it drops into my project, okay? And then if I have to make some edits, well, I could export to Excel to make an edit in a template if I want, or I could just edit it right in this example. So let's edit let's look at this in edit form. I'll just bring up a checklist here, and you can see the checklist. You can set, the type of checklist it is. You can require a sign off at the end and assign who's for the final signature on the checklists. The questions, as I look through this, and this is in edit mode, you can see are all assignable, for that. And I can embed pictures. I can embed tables really into this for easy use. Let's get out of here. Let's look at sort of what an end checklist might look like, and we'll look at this PFC. So I'm gonna proceed here. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I opened it up in edit mode. Let's go into my air handling unit, and I'm going to go into my air handling unit record. So this is now for an individual piece of equipment. I have the location data here. I can see what's feeding the equipment, the generators, the paddle boards. All of this might have been either created here or uploaded in bulk into the system. Here are the instance level fields now. Here's all the details. And I want that information to flow into my pre-functional check. So let's open up that checklist so you can see the data actually flows right into the checklist. So for this air handling unit 4, I've got my equipment verification. The approved submittal data, flows automatically right into the checklist. This probably, again, came through a upload through a spreadsheet, or we can read it out of a BIM file. If you have a model with the data in it. And then I'm just going through and I'm confirming as installed meets the submittal. And if there's anything that's wrong, like this, maybe this is wrong, the field opens up and I can put in the correct information, which then would go to either if I have a approval, it'll overwrite it. If not, then it goes to an authority who has to approve the change to that update. And again, then I scroll down and I've got my checklist here. The checklist, again, yes or no, very easy to add an issue or add a document. So one of the questions could be, in a manual, did you add that? Yes, and I click on that and I just select and drop in my document, attaching it right to the checklist. I can embed pictures in the checklist if I want to say, was it installed per this drawing to validate, and everything has a record, right? So there's no question on who checked what. Not only are the questions permissionable for the group, but whoever did the individual, I have a record of that as well. So very easy to monitor and track checklists and monitor items. Now, we looked at the closeout tracker. How does the scheduling piece come into play? Well, let's go into my timeline monitor, and I'm going to sort of switch gears here. And I'm going to now look at sort of the project schedule and how I'm performing to schedule. So in this example, the timeline monitor is displaying my project work plan. So again, on the left-hand side here, QC inspections or startup is the phase that you have, and then here are the different activities. And these activities are connected to assets, right? So as the QC inspection checklist is getting done, I can see that we're 92% complete, all right? And so as I look at that, either on the Gantt chart right here, I can sort of see the start and end date, and we're complete, and what's still in process. Also, I could dig in even more. I could say, show me the sub tabs in here, and I'll actually get reporting right at the equipment level. So here's all the assets connected to that particular activity. I can see what's done as I'm scrolling down, and what's not done here. Here's the air conditioning units, actually, and they're making their way through that checklist, so they're in progress, 92% complete, not fully done, but I'm still doing okay based on my schedule. So, and then getting this information in, I can literally export this into a report, or I can export the activity view right into a spreadsheet where I can quickly update the anticipated start and end date, or I will export the actual start and the actual end date, and you can build your look ahead schedule exactly from this. So very easy to use. This isn't a scheduling tool. It's not meant to replace P6 or Microsoft Project. It's meant really to complement it. But very often when I talk to the team managing the MEP project, they're still actually managing their micro schedule in spreadsheet. And so utilizing our template is very easy for them to upload our spreadsheet template if they want, and then they get this enhanced reporting, which is great for everyone else working on the project to see sort of how we're doing to plan. Okay, so let me jump into a couple other ways to scale the process of QA. We talked about this idea of checklist tracking and tracking activities in the closeout tracker. I also have the ability to track by phase. So if I'm looking at, let's say I want to look at my QC inspections, and I can see by activity the total subtask activities here, and how many have started, how many have completed, where I am. So another great reporting tool to kind of see percentage-wise, how am I doing through that phase, and again, tracking it to schedule. And again, this is exportable. We have an API if you want to create custom reports or custom types of analytics. We've got a wealth of examples for anyone that may be interested, and we typically are building them in Microsoft BI, and we can work with either the desktop version of BI, and you can embed just a refresher screen manually to pull the data, or for those that have the internal database, our API will communicate with the database and transfer information to the analytics tools in Microsoft BI. But the key is having an easy way to track and make it easy for the field to update on what's going on and what's not. Now, the other thing we can do is for functional tests. Basically, functional tests, when maybe the commissioning authority loads their functional tests into Facility Grid, we create a duplicate copy, and that duplicate copy we then organize and manage in our pre-verification tests. This is great, again, for quality. I think I'm ready for acceptance testing, but before test day, I want to make sure that somebody reviewed the test. I want to make sure that maybe at least 1 or 10% of the equipment was sort of pre-tested. I want to avoid any surprises. So with Facility Grid, I can assign the functional test, and I can track to confirm that the test was either not started or is in progress, and my trade partner is actually reviewing the test. So if I look at this air handling unit 4 and I go into the pre-verification test, here is the system description, here's the owner operating assumptions, here's the sequence of operation that was laid out by the commissioning authority. So that's all in here, great. The test can have it can be as simple as questions, or it could be as robust, where in this example I'm showing tables and diagrams embedded into the test. So it's very robust. It can definitely meet the needs of your testing or formatting requirements. And then as I scroll down here, now I'm in the test, right? So this is a test that's been assigned to Robert, who's my trade partner for controls. And Robert's gone through this and pre-looked at everything, so I can see pass, pass, pass. That's great. And then looks like one of these failed. This particular does not meet the sequence of operations per the RFI. That's documented. He could also create an issue here, easily assign that responsibility back to the commissioning authority so they're aware, hey, look, we need an edit on this test. That would all be recorded. And it hasn't interfered with the commissioning authority's process. This just makes it very easy for your team to review the test in advance and then communicate to the commissioning authority, which, by the way, they love. They like this. They don't want to show up on test day with a sequence of operation that doesn't match because there was a change they weren't aware of. So that's another way we help scale your quality process, is making it easy for you to have a workflow that you can track. Not only assign to pre-test the equipment and make sure you're ready, but also track that process to make sure it's actually getting done, and have a record of who tested it prior to test day. So outside of that, I've used about an hour of our time today, so that's a great, hopefully, introduction and showing you how a facility grid can scale your quality assurance program, making it easy for you to engage the field, removing a lot of redundancy probably in your process. Most importantly, replicating your process, not changing it, and then automating the reporting, right, through the closeout tracker of what's going on. If anyone has any questions, I'll open up the questions. You can submit them. I have a couple here, so let me address them here. Okay. Yes, so there's a questions about locations. So in our project, we have the support for locations. So literally, when I go into locations, a location could be one facility, or it could be multiple facilities. So if you have a project and maybe it has 2 buildings or 3 buildings, you can create each building, and then you can track those activities in one central project and monitor across multiple locations. So definitely our location feature would enable me to, in this case, I'm going to look at the first floor. I want to look at my data room. I want to see what's going on. And here's the equipment in this particular room. Systems, which I don't have set up. Here are the tasks that need to be completed. Okay, and then also here's the issues I might have in that space. And this also rolls all the way back into the closeout tracker for tracking. So you can definitely do that. So, how do you see the activity summary, closeout tracker, and timeline monitor? So the activity summary, I'll just go over there. This, again, is sort of the high level for each one of these activities. I can move through, so maybe I'm looking at acceptance and turnover. Here are the individual activities and tasks, and I'm looking at what's in progress by activity here. And what's open for issues, and if there's anything that's been completed, I would have that information. So these are all standard, but if I click on Run Analytics Engine, it actually will export this into a data spreadsheet, or again, if you need our API, you can call and export this information. Project schedule, combined with that, or are these tracked separately? I'm tracking. I can incorporate the GC has their own schedule, those dates can be put into our template, the closeout tracker template. Now we are actively in R&D on working on integration into P6 and Microsoft Office. Microsoft Project, to make sure really that it's easy to create a mapping between whatever the activity is in the schedule software into ours. But and so that's working. But right now you can still upload a big template and manage the MEP part of the schedule in our template. So if I export the, well, whoever's interested, I'm more than happy to kind of walk through that process and show how easy it is. But great questions. I have a couple of minutes. Let's see. Can you expand on coordination interaction with Bluebeam? Yes, in the mobile application, you can, when I was demonstrating that, if I would have clicked, it could have opened up that PDF in my favorite PDF editor. It could have been Bluebeam. I could have marked it up in Bluebeam, put in comments. Then when I save that, a facility grid will read all the comments, organize them into a list, where then the user can identify whether the comment is an issue or just an observation. If it's an issue, we number it, it's saved, and then we go back and we write the issue number at the location within the box where the comment had started back into, that's the Bluebeam integration we have. Okay, so let's see what else I have. So, okay. For those that are having any issues with access or anything, send me a note. I'll look at the setup to show you how we can get this working. But I think I went through the question lists from there. And again, if there's any way we can help on your next project, operational readiness, the software solution is an ideal for scaling your process. Everyone, thank you for your time today. And until next time, have a good day.